What happens if you don't have good sex? You get in a bad mood.
So this is how far you gotta go with it? You guys love rhyming. You guys are... It's supposed to be the artistic side of Spanish where you guys are all poets when you insult somebody?
Of course.
Okay, please continue.
I think we all have to agree that there is no better language to insult than Spanish. You have heard these elaborated insults that it doesn't matter how bad you say it in English or with the attitude that you say it in English, that emotional charge that the Spanish word and our creation makes into the insults, it doesn't exist in any other language.
I think it depends on what your result for your insult is.
What do you mean?
Because I think there's a insult to be like, the hammer on the nail. That's the end it all, be all kind of insults. And then you got the insults that just like instigates, like, oh, your mama's so fat, stuff like that, where it's nothing going to end, it's just going to continue. So I think there's a thing for us in the U.S., our insults are to put an end to things. You guys can just keep going back and forth like this is a marathon or something. We're like sprinters. We first one to the ending, that's it. Then we start something. So I don't know if I would call that best. I think it depends on what your goal is at this point.
There is no way you can compare it. There's no comparison. Just for example, the word tonto, which is silly.
Isn't tonto like, oh no, that's tanta. No? Tanto, sorry.
Much.
Yeah, I'm thinking about much.
So tonto, you guys have what? Doma, silly.
Yeah.
And just a couple more. Just to give you an example, we have tontolpijo.
Tontolpijo.
Tontolpijo. Tontolpijo.
Tontol.
Tontolpijo. Exactly. You don't have lights. We tell somebody you don't have lights.
Does you don't have lights mean like you're not there up there or something, like you're not all there?
Yeah, like you don't have lights. You're dumb. You're silly. You're tonto.
See, yeah, we say something like that. I believe ours is more like there's no lights on up there, or all the lights are off, or something like that. We have something like that.
One of my favorites, soplagaitas, which is blow. What is that thing that the Irish people do? Well, we do it also here in the north in Asturias and
Galicia. The instrument?
Yes.
The bagpipes thing?
Is that called bagpipes?
Yeah, that's the one with the bag, yeah.
Blow bagpipes.
Blow bagpipes?
Soplagaitas.
But people do that for a living. How is that an insult?
It's an insult. Tontolava, that's another one.
I don't think that's an insult. That sounds like more of an insult to my people, my Irish people.
Your Irish people.
I have Irish blood in me, according to my DNA. That sounds like a very disrespectful thing. That's an insult to me.
Anywho, what I'm trying to say is that there is tons of ways to just say something as simple as tonto.
It comes down to what is your goal. So, for instance, I've seen some disagreements, some arguments here, and I don't know what they're saying, actually. This is like, what was this? Almost like a few months ago. And we was in a dog park. And this man and this woman were arguing about the dogs and how they play, and someone's playing too rough. But he's looking at me, looking at everyone as he's saying what he's saying to this woman.
He wasn't all up here.
So he didn't have lights on?
And le faltaban muchas luces ahí arriba, sí.
So anyway, I'm just like, okay. But I'm watching them, and I could tell they're not happy with each other and that they're disagreeing. But I couldn't tell how vile the things this guy was saying. Because he was an older gentleman. I shouldn't even call him a gentleman. He was an older man.
Not a gentleman.
He was not a gentleman according to what you told me he said. But when does that stop? What is your threshold at this point? Like, 'cause
I don't know.
I don't see a threshold.
So he was insulting a woman, right? Because the woman was asking him to like hold his dog, and it was just bad. But he insulted her, saying that, "Oh, I can tell that you're on your period. Look at that face of amargada that you have, and this and this and that." Like, it was really bad. She was also very upset. So my surprise is that she didn't go forward. Like, she was insulting him back.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know. That could have gone out of hand, and I think that because of the people that we were there, that we stopped them from going forward. It didn't go.
But that's my point.
Level.
Like, when Spaniards are having a disagreement and you guys are arguing with each other, when does that end? Like, when
somebody leaves, when somebody says "me cago en tu madre" and "tos tu
No, yeah, I say that all the time. So it's not like that ends the argument.
Yeah, it depends on the context and how the tonality makes a lot.
See, that's what I mean. As much as you say you have some great insults, and I gotta admit, they're pretty imaginative. They are very out there. Like, some of them make me think like, me cago en la leche. I'm like, Who shits in milk? Like
Yeah.
I'm trying to imagine someone sitting on a table taking a poop in milk. Like that to me doesn't even make any sense. But again, what is the result? Like this thing is just to like be more colorful because everyone tells me, Spanish is a very colorful language.
It is colorful.
But yeah, you can be all colorful, but what is the result? What are you aiming to get? Because if
To
this
get all your emotions out, to like express all the that you have.
Oh, so you're not trying to make the other person upset or to, make them feel like crap. You're just trying to get all your emotions out.
Yeah, by making them feel like crap.
But if they are on the same page and they argue with you back and forth, and you got to insult, they got to insult, you got to insult, they got to insult.
You're just waiting for me to say that we start fighting, like hands fighting.
I want to know what the goal is because to me, there's no goal involved. It's like I'm just say all these things and I'm like, all right, I'm done. I think I got everything out. Now I'm gonna walk away.
These Americans are so physically violent.
It's not about being physically violent. It's just, what's the point?
To get it out of your chest so you can have a healthy life. If you keep it in, it's
but
bad.
that's my point. When if you guys are like that, if you can go to that extent, then when is that threshold of okay, I'm not tolerating anymore? What is the thing? Because if you can talk about your mothers and all this kind of stuff and just throw that out all willingly, like this was in my back pocket, here, take that. Then when is the point that okay, I'm not going to hear this no more. I'm not going to take this anymore. Like, what is the insult that is like the end all be all?
There's never end because we have so many insults, and I'm going to teach you 5 that I know you haven't heard yet, and they are very colorful and very unique. And I know you're gonna have faces, so let's get started. I think this one you might have heard it in movies. Gilipollas.
Oh, gilipollas, yeah, I know.
Okay, so gilipollas is another way of saying dumbass and.
But gilipollas is like what? Like silly dick or something like that?
Yeah.
That's that's something. Listen, you could call. So I've never heard some. We don't use the term silly dick. We might say that like to be funny, like in certain groups. We might say like I'm gonna give you some silly dick tonight. That'll be about it.
What do you like? What do you picture? Like a dick, like being silly?
Yes, it honestly started. I don't know what animal it was, but this animal had. I don't even know why I'm having this conversation.
Oh, the fish.
It wasn't a fish, but it was something. But it was like his whole penis was just like moving around. I'm like, now that's some silly dick.
We have to look for that.
I don't have to look for that. I don't need to see it no more. Once is enough.
Pagafantas.
Pagafantas.
It's one word. Pagafantas.
Is that like paying for fantas?
Paying for fantas. Yes, that is paying for fantas.
Oh,
yes. So this was used back in the days, right?
Wait, no, that was really it?
Yes.
So,
I mean, we still use it, but...
What does it mean?
So what it means, somebody that is a pagafantas is somebody that pays for others or like goes above and beyond for others, usually a woman, to get something in exchange.
Okay.
Without even looking for themselves. So they will go and get you a drink before even they get their own drink or anything. But this is also a way of like denominate somebody that has been friend-zoned.
Oh, is this where like how you call someone like a simp? How we call people simps? Like a guy that, just falling after a woman, doing anything for a woman and whatnot?
Yeah.
Okay. Why buying Fantas?
Because, that was the thing that we used to drink. Paga Coca-Cola doesn't sound good, so Paga Fantas.
Paga Fantas?
Yes.
It's not that you have to insult. You have to make sure the insult sounds good when you say it.
Hombre, claro. Because then when you say Paga Fantas, hombre, yeah.
You guys love rhyming. You guys are.
It's
supposed to be the artistic side of Spanish where you guys are all poets when you insult somebody?
Of course.
Okay, please continue.
Boca chancla. And I say this very often when I.
Chancla?
Yeah.
Is that mouth chancla?
Yes.
So is this like to shut somebody up?
No, so how's a chancla? Usually like this, right? And it makes annoying sounds and everything. So that's a boca chancla, somebody that doesn't stay quiet, that like tells everything, doesn't keep a secret. It's annoying because they don't stop like boca chancla.
I am just, these are colorful. These are well thought out though. I gotta admit.
It gets better as we go
It's well
forward.
thought out. So that's supposed to be like somebody's just annoyingly just talking so much.
They talk so much or they don't keep a secret.
What if they have an annoying voice? Does that also count for it or no?
We have other insults for that. This one is just annoying in general. They don't stay quiet. They like share everything. Like you can't tell anything to this person because they'll go and say it out loud to the most inconvenient person that you can.
Oh, so they also count as people that can't keep secrets?
Yeah.
Huh.
That doesn't keep anything to themselves. Like
They just gotta just talk everything out. So
Yeah.
okay, I got you.
But it doesn't necessarily mean somebody that doesn't stop talking, okay? Again, we have another insult for that. A
Wait,
specific thing.
then what is this specific thing? Because to me, this covers a whole wide range of
Well, it
all.
does. It's very general. So this is a good way to start.
Okay, continue, please.
This one is hilarious. Abraza farolas. Abraza farolas. And again, one word.
Abraza farolas.
Abraza farolas.
¿Qué es how do you say it?
Farola?
Farola.
Do you know those lights are in the street? Usually, what I think obviously is the ones that we used to have, like the ones that come down from the ground and it's a light.
A street light?
Yeah, but it's like a farola is like, you know, the typical that is black at the bottom or metal at the bottom, and then
Are
the
you talking about a
pole.
lamp?
Yeah.
In the house or in?
Outside in the street.
Okay, yeah, the old school ones.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So what about it?
So abraza farolas.
To open a lamp? Open
No,
a light?
abraza.
Oh, hug a
Yes.
lamp.
Yes.
Does that mean like this person doesn't have anything better to do or something like that?
No, it's somebody that has drank so much. They always get drunk. So you cannot get them out for a drink, because the moment that you get them for a drink, you know how the night is gonna end. Is with that person hugging the street lights. But do you see yourself like using them? Because this like excites me.
That's the thing with the Spanish language. Like for me personally, I think there's a certain affinity that I have to develop with the language. Like these are things that I have to use and obviously have the emotion to go behind it. So when I say things in English, being that it's the language that I grew up with, and using just normal talk, or when I'm insulting somebody, or when I say things that I'm angry or happy about, I'm already accustomed to that. I haven't gotten to the point where I'm accustomed to saying certain things with certain feelings. So I've never had an argument with anybody, so I don't have any to put towards the words. But I have some things that I would say that I'm happy about, but I still don't have those celebration sounds or whatever, or the things that you guys say. So I think there's still a level of affinity that I have to have with the language before I get to that point. So as of right now, no, I don't see myself using these phrases. I might say something where I can, just to be funny, but no, like Theo, like I still don't have that.
No, every time that I tell you to say it, you're like,
I'm like, no, why? Like, I'm not going to say it. Like, I don't have the feeling behind the word yet.
Yeah, but if you want to speak the language and you want to speak like a local, not just communicate, gracias, dame esto, dame lo otro. No, like if you really want to have conversations with locals and enjoy the Spanish local life, first of all, for those out there, sign up to the newsletter, because I send very useful information, not only about the language, but about many things, everything about Spain. But my other advice, and I have told you this, whenever you have feelings, you have to try to write them in Spanish.
Help.
Or like think about it. Does help.
That
I speak languages. That's what I do.
Okay, but that works for you. That doesn't necessarily work for me. First of all, I do like writing, but I'm not going to sit there and write, ooh, I feel happy. What should I write? Feliz? No.
No, you idiot. When you have like a lot of feelings, or look, think about it. I'm saying right because it is something that then you can go back to. But if it's not right and it's just, if you're upset, like try to put into Spanish words, how is it that you feel? Estoy enfadado porque me he mojado hoy y me ha cagado un perro encima. Something.
But that doesn't help me with getting the feeling. I think that for me personally, I think it's like when I'm talking to someone. So maybe I just need to get some more friends. That's what I probably need to do, and have those like conversations where I can say something. Because for guys, like we like to snicker with each other, we like to trash talk each other. I haven't had the chance to really trash talk in Spanish yet. So I need to find some basketball players, or either I got to get into paddle, which I'm not trying to really do, but but that's the thing.
I don't think you get to talk a lot while you're paddling, though.
No, but I need to have like the kind
paddle
of thing with guys, like to have moments where we can trash talk and have fun with
them. Malafoya.
Malafoya?
Yes, again, one word. Malafoya.
What is a foya?
So follar is to fuck.
Bad fuck?
Yes. But this is attached to a person. So when you tell somebody that it tiene mala folla or es mala folla, it's because they have bad temper, because they are hard to deal with. They get upset with anything and everything. It's like having a bad grape, mala uva. Tiene mala uva, pues es mala folla.
Do you understand? Like this doesn't even make any sense now, right?
Why?
Because if usually
what happens if you don't have good sex? You get in a bad mood.
So this is how far you gotta go with it to trickle down to the personality. Oh, the
Malafollado.
sex was so bad. This person must be upset. He must be a very bad person.
He's a bad fuck.
Yeah,
Malafollado.
I understand insulting, the sex part, but now you're telling me it's also the personality of the person.
Yeah, they have bad temper. It's hard to
So
deal
you
with
think
them.
that temper and personality is what made them a bad fuck?
No, backwards. Because you have a bad fuck, then you have a bad temper. The thing with the insults is that we have general ones that
Right.
are all over the Spain, but then regional aspect, like everybody has their own, and they're hilarious. In Andalusia, for example, they are super funny. So I'm going to invite our viewers to leave some of their favorite insults down there. If you want to use asterisks so they don't get flagged and deleted by YouTube. But I have one that I have a lot of love for this one because it's from Murcia and it's one that a lot of people don't know. And it's hard to read because it's hard to write.
How's it?
Ejerciao.
Ejercial?
Ejerciao. When you say somebody is ejerciao, is that they're not a nice person. They're like,
But you have so many other phrases for that.
yeah,
What's
but
the
this one
importance?
sounds really good. Ejerciao.
If it's hard to say and write,
And it's very typical from Murcia. Like if you haven't lived in Murcia or you haven't had a close relationship with a person from Murcia, it's really hard that you will know this. So this is not like a super well known around the country. This is like very regional.
but if it's so hard to say and so hard to write, how is it something that's so common? It's just because.
Not for Murcians though.
Yeah, I mean, well, I wouldn't think because they don't say the ending of like S's and stuff. So it sounds like this word is like barely coming out. Okay, y'all. I mean, you're not even saying anything. You just, yeah.
So in my mind, and I don't know because I haven't researched this on any platform or anything, but ejerciao comes from desgraciao. Desgraciao is like them, like unfortunately, like unfortunate. Somebody that's them. So desgraciao, ejerciao.
So, but is this just a bad person? Is this person?
Yeah, it's a person that is not nice, that is to themselves and is always in a bad mood and
Oh,
ejerciao.
one of those people that just walk around with a face
Yeah.
look like they have a miserable life.
Ejerciao.
Y'all have some serious problems, man.
So what's your favorite ones from the
I
ones
don't-
that you just learned?
Listen, the only one that I laugh at every time I hear it is gilipollas. I always laugh at whenever I hear that because I hear it so much. Like before, you told me that people was always saying, I'm like, I don't ever hear that. You
Yeah, like tío. Nobody says tío.
Yeah, well, I've started hearing gilipollas now so much, even in movies and TV. Listen to people
It's a very
passing
used-
by,
yeah.
just passing by. That's literally a 10 to 15-second spam that I'm still hearing gilipollas.
Yeah.
Like, why is it so used so much? That's something so crazy to keep saying.
Son gilipollas.
Like I'm just trying to think, like being somewhere in the U.S. If I was walking around, and someone was saying "silly dick" everywhere I went, that would be hilarious to me. And I'm like, why? Like I'm like, why are people talking about silly dicks? Your phrases and your insults are pretty colorful, so
are.
far out there, and is unique. It is definitely unique, and I think you have like a plethora of different insults to kind of give people. However, I just don't see the point in all of it.
What do you mean?
I don't see the goal. That's like, I know as an American I'm very I need to see a result right away. Like we don't have time to waste on going back and forth. So for us, it may be one or two insults and then hands are thrown. That's it. Like but my point to you is like there's a threshold. Like we can say, oh, you're an idiot, you're stupid, oh, you're as dumb as rocks or whatever. You need to go do this, you need to go that. Those are our back and forth ones. Now, if we say like I'm a, fuck you up or fuck your mama or something like that, that's it. Then that's the threshold right there. That's when the line has been crossed. There are clear lines that have been crossed. We can insult each other for a little bit, like, nah, you stupid son of a, all that. And even then, those are like the warning signs. Like, okay, once we start edging up, and that doesn't take long. It doesn't take long.
But here's my thing. Don't you think that because you don't have the art of communication in insults and bad words is why you end up resulting into a physical assault? Because when you're able to get all that charge out of your chest and like we say, te quedas a gusto. Like you are like in comfort after all that. You're like
No,
good
because I
after
don't.
you like release all
No,
that.
I don't feel like it's released. You didn't get it all out because now the body gets tensed. You're getting into an argument with somebody. Yeah, you're getting the words out, you're getting the feeling out, but physically the body is just tense and you have nowhere to distribute that. So that's why movies like The Purge happen. After we get all that out, we got to purge and we purge with, our hands.
Sometimes I fear the future of the United
I'm
States.
listen. It's already messed up,
Yeah.
but that's my point. Like at some point, there, like you guys don't seem to have necessarily a threshold, and that's why I say you can argue, you can say the things that you say, and to me, there's so many lines that you guys cross with how you say things to each other, and then y'all can just
But
walk
that's from
away.
like obviously your perspective. Like if you were
Yeah,
born here, you wouldn't see it like that. Or if you
I'm
had been
sure. I'm
raised
sure.
here.
Like I'd be like, oh, it's just normal.
Yeah.
But from my perspective, that's not normal. Like I feel that's so disrespectful, and yet you guys can be disrespectful with each other, go your separate ways, or have honest conversations, say how you feel, and maybe later on we can, rehash this or just have a beer and just argue it out then. But
I
I
prefer.
wish there was an area in the U.S. that could be like that, but
I
it's
was
not.
gonna say I prefer our way, and maybe it's because I'm biased because I was raised here, and this is normal to me. But I love how colorful our insults are. As a matter of fact, you know this. When I get really upset, I only can speak Spanish because it just like comes like from the bottom of my heart, and I'm so passionate about it. And there's no words in English that can describe my way of insulting people.
I get that, and now more so I'm understanding that being that you have so many more words in the sense that don't kind of translate to English, I get it, and I've only noticed that recently because of certain things. Like now, there are certain words that I must say I do have an affinity to the way I have a feeling behind. Like if I see something, now my initial thing is to be like Allah or whatever, or
Yeah.
even when you ask me questions, I
You
don't.
say Allah a lot,
I do. I
like
know. It's so
even when you're speaking English with your friends back
friends.
home or your mother. Like the other day, you were talking to your mother and you said like Allah. I'm
I
like,
forgot what happened, but yes, and to me, that's the kind of thing that I say that if I have the feeling behind the word, that's when I develop that affinity with it, and I can express it that way. So I don't
for
have
sure.
that with Theo or Tia or some of the insults, gilipollas or whatever. I don't have that yet with those. So, and I think it takes time because to keep developing. Like even now, like when you ask me questions, y que hablando en inglés, también yo digo sí,
Sí, automáticamente dices sí,
automática.
sí.
No digo nada else. No, no, yes or no. Solo sí or pero.
Perro
But,
o pero, pero.
pero. No, no dog. No. Maybe if I'm being
También dices
también,
también
sí.
mucho.
There's some words I do have a feeling with. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, wow, yeah, I do have a feeling behind these words. And I think
There
that's
you
the
go. Now you have to like push yourself even further.
but again, that's because I'm having conversations with different people
Yeah.
and mostly you in that dynamic. But if somebody lives in the Parla, in the area here in Parla, and
South
you
of Madrid.
south of Madrid, and you right here next to the gym, I'm going to the basketball court around 8:30, 9:30 in the morning. Join me. I need someone to play ball with and practice my Spanish.
Explain it to me.
Please.
A palabras necias,
A palabras necias.
necias,
Necias.
oídos sordos.
What is necias?
Necias is another way of saying silly or dumb or tonto. Sin fundamento.
Can you say it again, please?
A palabras necias,
To the words, silly
to
words.
silly words,
Uh-huh.
oídos sordos.
You
Oídos
hear
sordos.
what sordos?
Deaf. Deaf
Deaf
ears.
ears. Okay. What is this? Like the monkey see, monkey do? Like the monkey that doesn't hear, see, or anything? What is this?
It means that if you're into an argument and people is insulting, whatever, but it's not true, then those are dumb words because those words are not true. That doesn't describe me. So a palabras necias, oídos sordos.
We have something like that where if it's where someone's not paying attention or they don't care about what you're saying, then we say that you should stop talking to because you're just falling on deaf ears.
Yeah.
So something like that?
Yeah, but this is, yes, it has the same root.
Kind of root, but not a different meaning?
That, but not that.
So what is it? What would you use that more for? Like if someone's
So,
just
for
like,
example, you know how some people say things to me, especially in the comment section, and you're like, don't pay attention or whatever.
it is what it is. I mean,
So instead of saying don't pay attention, you just say a palabras necias, oídos sordos.
A palabras necias.
Oídos sordos.
Oídos sordos.
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 No sueldos. Sueldos y
I
salary.
said soy. I like soy sauce. So, sordos.
SORDOS.
Vale,
Sordos.
vale, vale. Oh, vale is another one I say constantly too.
¿Qué? Ah,
Vale.
vale.